before, I am enough to me meant I have everything it takes to fulfill my dreams, to get to a destination. I am equipped. I have the faculties. Like, I am enough to get there. And then I was like, wait, no, I am enough just means I am enough without the destination, without the thing that is meant to impress, without performing or impressing people or impressing my dead dad. Like I'm enough.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Unapologetically Yours podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Logan, and I am so happy to have you here today. Unapologetically Yours is a podcast where we go deep on everything from spirituality to relationships and connection to business and belief system, because in a world when we've been taught to play by the rules, it's time to live unapologetically. And today I am so happy to have a guest here, Meg Sylvester, who has been a mentor in my life in many ways, and I'll give her the chance to introduce herself. But I first want to preface this. I recorded a solo episode last week where I talked a little bit about spiritual awakening and dark night of the soul and trusting your body through the process of knowing that it's time to change, that it's time to go, that it's time to evolve. And what that looks like for different people. For me, it was about one, creating stillness to tune in. Two, it was setting boundaries so that I could get on track. And then three, it was about grounded action. So it's taking those baby steps to start creating the life that I really wanted. And what's been so interesting for me as someone in the stepping into this space and sort of claiming my authority in retreats, workshops, working with women in healing, noticing also how it can feel to see other people in this space doing it similarly yet differently. And also seeing that there are some toxic beliefs in spirituality. And the other thing that I talked about was how important it is to really find those aligned mentors that you have the resonance for and resonance with, and learning from them and collecting those little bits along the way. But I think that what is so important to realize is that with any system, with any belief format, there's dogma, and that we run the risk of falling right back into the same traps. So today we're going to talk about all things spirituality, mentorship, learning, reclaiming your life and your authority. And there is no better person to have here to walk us through this than Meg Sylvester.
I mean, no pressure.
Do really good, Meg.
Well, I'll do my
People are
best.
here to learn from you. Hello. Meg, who are you today?
Don't know.
Whoever the fuck you want to be.
Right. I'm just me. Over this past year in particular, I'm living a life that is title free. I'm really trying my hardest not to identify or even introduce myself with what I do or what I teach. And I'm me. And as you listen to this conversation, I hope that you can connect and feel me. So I don't even really want to put labels on who I am to shape your perception of me. God, if I'm an Aquarian moon, I'll tell you that. And if that's not an Aquarian moon answer, I don't know what is.
It was actually really funny. I asked ChatGPT, and I've got kind of a relationship with AI where I don't like to use it to create on my behalf, but also will kind of play around with the tools. And I asked it to do a Spotify Wrapped for me, and it was so freaking funny. It was like, is encouraging people to release the pressures of life and encourages stillness while requiring a color-coded content calendar. I was like, damn, Chat, I feel
We are
seen.
allowed to be highly nuanced beings, which AI just doesn't understand.
All of that, which is totally great. So it's interesting because over the course of our friendship and relationship, we've known each other for 25 years now, which is just
Crazy.
fucking nuts.
Are we 25 though?
We are. We are. In our hearts. In our hearts.
My Spotify rap said that I was 24.
I have to think about, I don't know, remember what my Spotify number was, but it was low. And I think that could be because it's like averaging in like some of the Disney music that comes on for my kids and my absolute love affair with techno music.
There you go.
There we go. That's a new thing. But what I loved is watching you evolve into many different roles and giving yourself permission to evolve, learn, grow, and change. And where our paths really intersected again was probably starting in the late 2010s, early 2020s, when you were really embodied in spirituality, leading retreats that were helping people access kind of their own inner truth. And what message you were sharing resonated with me so much. And watching how, even since that time, you have shaken off this identity of like mentor, wayfinder. It's like, no, that's all fine. Learn from me, take what you want, but that you're not going to necessarily stay in one place to be all things to all people. And I think that's so admirable.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's been quite scary to shed the role of being all things to all people. I found a lot of my worth in that, and a lot of my worth in being the messenger, which I am. I am a messenger and I always will be. But for a while I thought I had to funnel my messages through like a teacher lens, and instead of, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm so grateful to the people, to the teachers in my life. And I'm grateful, so very grateful to the time that I was really, really in that space, and for the people who are receptive to the messages that I have had and still have to share. But yeah, it's been quite a journey of uncoupling myself with all of these identities and all of this pressure, self imposed pressure to be everything to everybody, even my dead dad. It's been really important for me to impress him. So my brother was an incredible athlete, and my dad was an athlete and like coached his basketball team. I was really not an athlete, and all the things that I was like naturally really good at, like dance and art and, stuff like that. My dad, it just wasn't his thing, and that's okay. But I always felt like I had to work extra hard to impress my dad, or at least that was my perception of it, you know? I don't know. He may have been incredibly impressed with me. He just, didn't express it too much. We had a great relationship. But anyway, since he died, for the past couple of years, so from 21 to 23, I realized I was still very much trying to impress him. It was just encoded into me, it was programmed into me. And then I had this just like blinders taken off, and it was actually through my acting class, of what the phrase, this is going to sound so silly, but what I am enough means. Before, I am enough to me meant I have everything it takes to fulfill my dreams, to get to a destination. I am equipped. I have the faculties. Like, I am enough to get there. And then over the past this year, really, I was like, wait, no, I am enough just means I am enough without the destination, without the thing that is meant to impress, without the knowledge, whatever. It's like I am enough without performing or impressing people, or my impressing my dead dad. Like I'm enough. And it's been really fucking scary to step into that. I post way less now. I don't really teach in the capacity that I used to. The retreats that I lead now are not me teaching and bringing people through, a big journey. It's me saying like, "Hey, I'm right beside you, and like let's travel together." And that's enough, like let's just experience the world together, and I'm going to be beside you, and yeah, like I helped like put the agenda together, but I just want to be with you. And so really, really, really stepping into I am enough and trusting that me, without having to be something or on my way to a particular destination, is enough. And I will magnetize whatever it is that I'm meant to magnetize, that I will walk the path of fulfilling true life that is mine, that isn't a production or a performance to impress other people. And yeah, it's been like so liberating and so scary and so soft, like God, to not feel like I have to be impressive all the time, like to take it to more of a general, like to something maybe everybody can relate to. We from a very early age are taught that we need to be impressive. We need to make good grades. We need to get the attendance award. We need to have our hair perfectly combed for our school picture so we can be the prettiest version of us. I don't know, but it starts from a really really early age, and we may not even recognize how much we're putting that on other people, but how much it's just constantly like, be impressive, be something, be on the way to something, but not where you are. You need to keep going. You need to keep like, I don't know. And I just got exhausted with all of it. So I wish it didn't take my dad dying, for me to like drop it, but it did.
Do you think that part of that too was just like what is unraveled during grief and the parts that can't be the way that grief sneaks in and seeps in to your cells? How do you think that grieving played a role?
Well, I think grief really awakened the artist in me. 'Cause
Mhm.
it was the only putting words, like the exact right words to how I felt was my catharsis. And while I was in deep grief, I was also basically bedridden with Lyme disease. So it was hard for me to somatically process and move. I was just very sick. So I was in bed trying to move and process a lot of this grief. And art became very important to me, more important than it ever had before. It became like a lifeline for me. And so, yeah, I think being in that grief kind of woke up a new way for me to express myself that wasn't through career or financial achievement or physical achievement. Like, it taught me to express in new and emote in new ways. So, I don't know, grief, it changed me for sure, but my God, wouldn't that be just bizarre if it didn't? You
Oh
know?
my god,
Um,
absolutely.
and I think grief can be such a beautiful, beautiful thing. It reminds me of when the leaves fall down to the ground and then they rot, and that rot becomes nutrient like dense for the earth, and then new growth can begin. Like, that's what grief is. But we're so quick to rake away all the leaves, and to make everything look perfect and manicured, that we rob ourselves of that nutrient dense rot, you know? So that's what it was, yeah, for me.
I'm sitting with that because, well, one, I did not rake my leaves this year or
Me
last
neither.
year.
Yay.
It's like this is so silly. They're here for a reason and absolutely meant to permeate the earth and create
Right.
room for new growth. And what a beautiful euphemism to think about that as the rot. First of all, the way that you were able to alchemize art and movement and shift everything in your life while battling Lyme disease and being bedridden and not being able to move your body is something that I know is so important to you today. So I guess that my question for you is going through that process, what were some of the clues that were, "Mm, this isn't right. No, this doesn't feel good to me anymore," that revealed that yes, there was performance. Yes, there was misalignment that was taught to you, that basically you were inherited and you were taught these behaviors by and large without your consent. And then you have the choice to take agency of your life or whatever the circumstances are to set those down. So, what were some of the symbols that you responded to and signs?
I mean, I went to college. I went to the college that my dad was most excited about for me to go to, which is where we met. Then was on the career track and was doing all the impressive things and was driving the fancy car and living in the nice house in the nice neighborhood in the cool city and wearing, the cool clothes, was the youngest person on the executive team and just kept getting raises and raises, even though I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. um, and then my body is always the thing that's like, "Yo, something's gotta change." But my body just started screaming at me. I was suffering with really chronic, cystic, painful acne, migraines, like, twice a week, stomach ulcers, like So, long story short, I just started really focusing on how can I make myself feel better. All these books, of course, started like coming into my life that had been written for, since the 70s that just like started showing up. And it led me on this path of empowerment that then woke me up, that then I started sharing, that then everyone was like, I want what you have. And I was just sharing my journey. And this was like in 2013, 2014, before like coaching was big on Instagram, and I was sharing like Facebook lives. And then I just had this like massive spiritual awakening and started, like really studying spirituality and started really going down that path. And like before that, I was very cut off from, or I cut myself off from religion for various reasons. But I thought that religion and that version of God was the only thing. And then, after spiritual awakening, I learned like, actually, no, there's like so many roads to get to a higher power. And, I'm sure that's all been discussed on this podcast with various guests. So I don't need to get into that. But anyway, so
But that's such an important thing, especially knowing you were raised in the South, how we were all conditioned to believe one thing is true, that one thing is true when in fact many things can be true at one time.
yeah,
And also like lies by omission that created this society and has us all competing instead of being in alignment and all those
Yep.
things.
Yep, and all this, like, conditioned guilt, mom guilt, like, all this stuff. And then I started coaching and teaching, and really, my version of coaching and teaching is just sharing what I know and listening deeply and saying, "Here's some tools that worked for me, like, maybe this will work for you, and I'm gonna hold your hand through it and hold you accountable and have, like, just, like, deep discussions with you where you feel heard and seen and supported." And so I was doing that, leading retreats, and it was really beautiful until I started looking around the room and looking around the space and looking around the Instagram. It was like everyone looks the same. Everyone's using the same font on their Instagram graphics. Everyone's wearing the same fucking hat. Everyone is like in the same swishy robes. Like, this is not spirituality. This is a performance. Because if it were true authenticity, we wouldn't all be looking the same and listening to the same music and using the same words and eating the same brands of food. It was like weird. And I was like, okay, we all left one box and now we're in another. And it's like feels very prescribed and dogmatic, and I was like, I don't wanna be part of this anymore. I started really calling out the spiritual, like, hamster wheel, the healing hamster wheel, and how, like, healing is a good thing. My God, we all need it, but too much healing is an addiction, and you're keeping yourself in a holding pattern by, like, doing one more course and one more this, and I'm not there yet, and I'm essentially not enough until I leave my body and become an angel that lives in the sky and ignore all of my humanity. And I only look at one type of art or listen to one type of music, or, and it was just like, this is not this is not it. And maybe for some people who are wearing the hat and eating this food and wearing the swishy clothes, that is authentic and that is true to them, but not every single person in the space. And so that kind of like was the catalyst to my second awakening, was like, hang on, I've shifted so far on the pendulum to this like ascended angelic everything for everybody. And like, I'm exhausted. And who am I? Where am I? I love dancing. I like stopped dancing, almost like basically stopped like having sex because I felt like I was like too ascended for that. Like, what the fuck? And like, like,
That's not would not be my version of ascension.
right. Yeah. And it was just like all these
Yes.
clues. So my
Yeah.
body, the first time around was like, yo, like, things are not right. You need to like reconnect back to your body and not these like accomplishments, achievements. And then that kind of second time, it was like, what is going on? It's like a psychosis, this like spiritual hypnosis that everyone is in. And also, like, I would look at, Instagram, and these big people with like, 500,000, a million followers would like post something. It would have like 100,000 likes or whatever. And I was like, that is not true, and it's just like, we just got this, like, hypnotized just because someone with a lot of followers and it's a cute meme and and everyone's commenting, half of which are bots, that it's
Right.
like, "Yeah, awesome, amazing." It's like, "God dang it, nothing feels real anymore." So I just had to start
Are
speaking
you
for
an
the
Enneagram 4 by any chance?
is
Do
that
you know what your
the is that like the artist? Yeah, I think
it's
so.
just the individual, like,
Yeah. I'm a 4 wing 3.
okay,
Enneagram's
I'm
the
the
one
same.
thing yeah, Enneagram's the one thing I'm not, like, really well versed on, but yeah, so and I was like, I just feel called to bring the humanity back. Like, we can be spiritual and listen to Cardi B. We can be spiritual and, like, wear makeup, and, like, do our hair, and it's just, like, it's just got to be too much, and I also wanna, like, caveat that, like, I am so grateful to the people who remain in integrity in the healing space and that hold that door open for people who are coming through and need and truly need to go through that healing process. But what I am not okay with are the teachers, the coaches that put people into a funnel and then keep them in that holding pattern. Well, like, oh, you finished that. Now here's this. Now here's this. Now here's this. That don't let people like exit the system. And I know we
I'm
all have
embodied.
yeah, and I know we all have free will and we can all exit the system at any time we want, but good marketing can be real intoxicating, especially when it's marketing that's pointing to the pain point and where you can go, And it's just like it got gross to me.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little bit about my experience sort of watching this part of your growth. At first, in some ways, I got a little defensive, partly because I knew, like, I'll talk about my experience is seeing, like, okay, so these modalities that were so instrumental in me kind of coming home to myself, I'll kind of talk about each one of them, like sound healing. Okay, I am a musician, have been my whole life, and never experience sound healing. And this was a way to be free with music and expression outside of what makes a piano composition beautiful. What's that? And by the way, I love to just sit down and play the piano without any notes. And that's when I like feel like I'm in flow. And sound healing was one area was like, oh my gosh, I can express myself. I can use my voice. And yes, of course, had to learn and all those things. And breath work, like really a tool to connect with my body and what it was holding and where I was storing grief knowingly and unknowingly. And then gateless writing. It almost felt like for me, with all of my life experiences and natural interest in art, and I was a creative writing major in this, and then coming to your retreat and then seeing how these tools can be used outside of the box blew up the fucking box for me
Mhm,
and was like, this is amazing. These are things and practices that I know that I am here for a reason to learn these and then figure out what's next. And the part about healing that isn't talked about as much is that it's becoming radically fucking honest with yourself. And we are a walking lie. Like society is a walking lie. When you go to a baby shower and start spouting out advice about babies and you say, this is the perfect onesie, it's going to change your life. No, it's not going to change your life. You know what's going to change your fucking life? Getting 40 days of silence, having no one kiss your baby,
mhm,
having a partner who's going to give you permission to
yeah,
do whatever the fuck you want to do,
mhm,
not following the rules, trusting yourself, like self trust and telling the truth. And so, what I had to do is a gut check of like seeing your growth and knowing, like, okay, I see Meg, she's in truth
mhm,
what she knows to be true. She's unpacking beliefs that she carried about the process and you were exposed to some really toxic shit and like having lived in Austin where you've got like fucking Aubrey Marcus and all of these like
yeah,
tech bros
wonderful, yeah,
doing mushrooms and talking about their threesomes like they're
mhm,
some fucking gods. So I had to steady myself and just say like, okay, so what does this mean? What feels true about what she's saying? And the part that I really resonated with was, yeah, this is about being true to yourself, true to your creative expression and knowing that simultaneously arriving at truth comes from being in stillness, from expressing
It
yourself,
comes from
and from honoring your
hands and
body.
tools, yeah, for
Yeah,
me, yeah,
exactly.
and it was really interesting because a lot of people there were 2 sides of the coin. A lot of people, it was like, "Oh my god, thank you." Like, people needed to hear that they had permission to, like, put it down and just live their life. And then there was another side of the coin where people got really angry and mad and defensive about, "Well, what do you mean? Like, was all of that a lie? Like, spirituality is needed, healing is needed." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I never ever said healing is a farce or you got to, stop that or it's all bullshit, whatever." I never once discredited any of the tools that were so valuable to me, but some people, that's what they heard, and I was like, what I am saying is you have permission to get off of the healing hamster wheel and believe that you're enough and engage in practices that you tweak to fit you and that work for you and not to just to be assigned another dogma and say it has to be this even though I don't like it, like it's got to be done in this way. And I think that's why like gateless writing is so incredible, and all the tools and the way that I taught kundalini, and it's just like I'm not saying to stop all of that. I am saying to check yourself, and are you hypnotized by this healing path that and to where you feel like you can't get off and you can't just put it down and engage and with them in a way that says I'm enough and I'm going to learn from this and grow from this, but I'm enough, and like
Well, and that, like, life is now, and
yes.
that life is now, and so,
Yeah.
yes, spend your time accessing what's true for you. Take a moment to become embodied in your own individual truth, but
Hmm.
if you are constantly chasing, then you miss the opportunity to actually just be. Home is where you are.
Yeah.
And joy is accessible and available to you today, not something that is being aspired towards. And sometimes, yes, you can only access the extent of your joy by your willingness to meet your grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And some
like,
of us have deep trauma to where joy and pleasure do not feel safe. And you're like severed from it. So many of us do absolutely benefit from going on a healing journey. But there has to be a point in that journey when you take your power back and say, I don't need a coach right now. I don't need a course right now. I don't need all of this. Like I can make my own decisions, and I don't need an angel number to tell me to do this. I can feel it in my body, and there's got to be a point when you say like, all right, I'm doing this and I'm going to dance to some Cardi B. If I like that, it doesn't have to be this spiritual ecstatic dance. It can be, but like you got to be you. There's got to be a point in the healing journey where you're just like, all right, enough is enough. I appreciate and respect and admire all of those teachers and tools, and I will engage with them when I feel called to. But I don't have to in order to be a better version, a higher version of where I am now. There's got to be a point, or you're just in a holding pattern and continuously affirming to yourself that you're not there yet.
and that you're not enough
Yeah.
when you were born enough.
Yeah.
And I guess my question for you is that do you think that really this was a progression where you reached the phase, if we wanted to like categorize some steps and stages of true embodiment?
I feel like if I answer that, if I say yes, it makes it feel like there's levels where
Right.
like I am truly embodied. And so now I'm at level 10 and you're at level 9. Like no,
It's not like Super Mario Brothers where you get to like level 8 and then there's the
right. Yeah. It's all a circle.
but like what was revealed to you was really, wait, this is where it's time for you to become fully embodied in
Yeah, like,
all parts
I
of
wanna
you.
be me. I wanna be me, and I wanna know what it feels like to be me. And I it's, like, such a mind fuck because I was me. I don't think I was me before I had the awakening. I was the programmed me, and then I had a spiritual awakening and was, like, taking off all these masks and was doing things to feel good and was examining, all the beliefs and the programming and da 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 da, and I was embodied then, and well not all the time, and I'm certainly not embodied all the time right now, I don't think, I don't know. I mean, there's moments when I certainly feel it, like, "Oh, yeah, this feels really good," and I'm, like, super grounded in my body, but I'm still working on things, just kind of the idea of, like, I don't have to be impressive, and I don't have to just because I really love something doesn't mean I have to teach it. Like, I can save some things just for me because before I didn't feel enough unless I was at the front of the room teaching. And so, I'm letting go of all of that right now. And, I'm on a new path with a new dream that's expanding and growing and opening, which I will not share right now. Because it's mine, it's mine. And I'm nurturing it in underground right now. I used to not be able to do that. Like, as soon as I was excited about something, I was like, "Hello world, guess what I'm doing?" And so my word for 2026, I always said a word, is focused. And if you know me, that is not really me.
I cannot relate.
Yeah. So I'm really having to remove things from my life that serve as a distraction from this, like, focused, streamlined dedication to this path that I'm on right now. I'm confronting my fears of self-worth by saying, well, if I'm not teaching, if I'm not at the front of the room, if I'm not on Instagram always sharing, then what's going to happen to me? I'm going to become insignificant. So am I fully embodied? I don't know. I don't know. Is there a checklist for me to know yes or no? But
I'm creating a course on this. You can
perfect.
subscribe.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll send you the checklist. I'll get back to you
Great.
to tell you how much you're worth.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Yeah. So, I'm using AI way less than I was before. Now that I look back on it, I really was using it as a tool for validation before. Like, hey,
Really?
I had this, I had this visualization, or I had this thing happen, or like did a mushroom journey, and this came up, and like I wanted someone to be proud of me, and I was using AI to be like, yeah, girl, you know how it talks to you, and like, here's,
Oh, oof.
anyways, yeah, yeah, and
I
so,
mean, that, like, gosh, that resonates so much in terms of, like, what the next generation is gonna be like and how they're not gonna be able to have girlfriends
mhm,
and boyfriends because they're going to or be in relationship with other people because they're not always gonna get that feedback and that validation that
yeah,
AI is, like,
mhm,
designed to do. "I
mhm,
got you, boo. You're great. Tell me what else you need."
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
"Oh my
yeah.
god." Right.
And I was like, I gotta
Man.
stop. I gotta stop this. I gotta
Yes.
stop this. I do not need the validation. So I am very much in practice of I am enough and what that really, really, really means, removed from capitalism and, like, nope, I'm enough. I'm enough without, an accomplishment or achievement. And that's hard. That's really hard work for a overachiever, that comes from a family of very successful people. Like, to be impressive in my family, people in my family have written books, they have private practices, they're attorneys, they're, served on
Wait,
presidential
aren't you
cabinet.
actually all of those things?
You know, yeah, I am. And that's not impressive because everyone around me is that. And so it's like, God dang it. All right. Well, I guess I just need to trust that I'm enough. And like, even my books that I wrote, I was like, well, they're not real books. Like, what does that mean? Yeah. So, my goodness, I
That's the
I feel like I've
mindfuck
gone
is,
on,
like,
like,
so big, like,
yeah.
so I am enough. Sitting with that for a second. And one of the things that I think at least I'm realizing and contemplating and chewing on right now is like, God, what a fucking miracle we all are. What a miracle it is that we are, that our atom bodies collided in Knoxville, Tennessee in 2001, and that we are on this planet at this time in this moment, and there is a 1 in 5 billion chance or something, like, I don't know what the numbers, I'm not a math person, but, like, the fact, like, we are so unique.
Mhm.
And talking dogma of religion, it's like, no, guys. Like, what God wants for us, whatever version of God that you believe in, is for you to be your truest, most authentic self because exactly your recipe, whatever is in you, and all of those experiences that make you you are beautiful, wonderful, worthy of love, and human, and
Worthy of your love,
your
first and
own love.
foremost, your own love. And I had a really interesting experience. So that's was kind of the catalyst and really understanding what I am enough is. So in my acting class, when I first started, I would try my hardest in class to like get up and if I had an improv or something to be funny, to be impressive, to be, like something more than my natural state. And my teacher, who's like a literal earth angel in my life. She gently helped me start like unraveling from this need to perform and to be impressive. One of the things she said to me, she was like, Meg, when you're up there and you're not trying to be impressive or perform or to be funny, and you're just really focused, super focused on your scene partner, and all your attention is off of yourself and onto whatever it is. She was like, you're so interesting to watch. Like the little nuances and your mannerisms and just who you are, it's 10 times, 100,000 times more interesting than when you're trying to turn on and be something. And I was like, "Really? I feel like I'm doing nothing. I feel like I'm just standing there." And she was like, "No, you're you, and like it's so interesting." And I was like, "Whoa." And that was kind of one of the first like, I'm enough to just be here and to be engaged with life, scene partner, person, friend, whatever it is, to just be engaged with. Like that's enough. Take what you will of that.
Isn't that amazing too, though, how those people come into our lives as those teachers? It doesn't have to look like signing up with an expert. It's learning from every person around you. And that we can gather something. And when we're like so focused on this hierarchy or ascension in a
Yeah,
linear fashion,
yeah.
then we start to put people ahead of us when really then we forget that actually everyone is human and deeply flawed and also so beyond lovable. And if you could go back in time, or maybe it's not even go back in time, but before this realization, what would you tell yourself to remind yourself? Or what would you, I guess I'm trying to think of
I
the,
know. I know what I would tell myself. I would tell myself, "Don't go into credit card debt to work with a coach who you don't resonate with." That
oh,
just
I like that. Oh, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's do this.
gosh, I don't wanna speak badly about anyone. I'm not gonna name any names at all, but good marketing is very intoxicating. And maybe not for everyone, but I get very excited and impulsive when there's a shiny thing in front of me that says, I can make you even shinier, and just give me your credit card. And I'm like, okay. And I got myself into a heap of credit card debt from working with individuals who were charging astronomical prices for me. Maybe for someone else, it wasn't astronomical. And then it put me into a scarcity energy for a long time because I was like, I got to pay this off and I don't know how. So I got to create the offer and da 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 da. And it was really hard. Also, I think I needed to go through that. So I don't know if I would want to rob myself of that experience, because it also helped me understand okay, this person had incredible marketing, well, at least for me, I was their ideal
Gotcha.
target customer,
I
you know,
gotcha.
and then working with them, I was like, no, they're not doing anything like magical. Like they're not any better than me. They don't have some secret that I don't already have. And it showed me that. And maybe for other people, they were incredible. But for me, and I say they because it more than one. I did this to myself more than one time. it takes me a while sometimes to learn a lesson. That was a tough lesson. And I felt very, very alone in that. Like, I didn't even want to tell my husband. It was embarrassing. I had to ask my dad a couple of times for like financial help. And then, when he died, I was like, well, I better not do that again because I don't have the net anymore, Um,
Oh my god, that resonates with me.
yeah. So that was a big lesson, especially in the world of leap and the net will appear, like spend this money and it will come right back to you, in that kind of world, that 2017, 18 world of that type of belief system that was out there in the coaching world. And I remember being at an event with a really well-known author in the spirituality and self-development space, and there was a big audience, and this one girl was talking about from the audience, like, asked the author a question and was like, "I'm struggling financially," something like that, and the author said, "Double your prices. Just double your prices. Are you ready? Double your prices." And I was like, "Huh? Like, you don't even know what she does? You don't even know what her pricing is? Like, is that an integrity? Like, I don't, and maybe that's my own money mindset that needed some work. I don't know, but I was like, that just doesn't feel right in my body. And like that was the spiritual answer. Like, so I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of like predatorial, is that the right word?
Well, capitalized spirituality, and not just that, but it's like and then you think about I'm gonna go on a tangent here, or just like in women in general. So women make less money, they're typically the spenders of the household, and then are pressured, tasked, burdened with, their own healing, and all of this costs money.
Yeah.
It's very and I have some not like guilt, but I think about that a lot when it comes to events and things that I'm hosting, and am I charging too much? Like, 1, am I charging my worth? And also, how do I make this accessible for
Right.
people so
So
that they don't
you
start
are.
to look at me as a guru? I want to very similar to you, I'm not a fucking guru, like, I smoke cigarettes behind my garage when I get stressed out, like, what the like, and I teach breath work, like, what
Uh-huh.
the fuck? But I am someone who's been through some really fucking hard shit, and I still know who I am, and I'm not
Uh-huh.
an asshole. I can share it with you, I can be there for
Mhm.
you, I can teach some practices that have helped me, and you do you. But it's that dichotomy between wanting to provide for yourself, create security. I'm a single mom of 3, like, I need to
You need
support
money.
myself financially. I need money, and that's the
Yeah,
exchange.
I know.
And I also hear what
Oh,
you're saying, though, and it's like, it does feel predatory, and I think that that's where it comes down to those what you just said. If it doesn't feel aligned, don't do it. Don't let someone convince you that they are the answer when at the end of the day, all full circle, you're enough.
yeah.
You've always been enough. You're enough just on your own, and you can seek out individual support. Pick up the phone and look at the resources that you already have. Who's a
Yeah.
friend that I have who might be able to support me through this right now instead of having to pay for that next thing? But more than that, it's about striking that balance between knowing when to tune into yourself and your own body wisdom and knowing when it's like we need to build community and we need to support one
Yeah.
another and we need to
Mhm.
help each other.
Mhm. Yeah, or I need an accountability somebody to help me walk through this chapter right now. Pricing is tough, and I have a weird relationship with money, as I feel like most people do, and so, yeah, I don't know. Uh,
I don't know. And you don't have to know, but what you do know is that those things no longer work for you.
yeah, yeah. That's not to say I'm never gonna invest in a coach or a mentor again, that's not I'm investing in acting classes right now. But I'm approaching it very differently, not to save me or finally be the thing that tips me into enoughness. It's just like, I don't know, the way you approach it. So that's the thing that I would tell myself, but I also don't know if I would tell myself, but I would.
Like, you don't know if the person back then would have listened. I don't know, prove it. Like, I don't have this, I don't well, and I'm saying that not as you, I'm saying that to my
Yeah,
own self.
yeah.
Like, there's certain things, and so, okay, I have a question for you when it comes to healing, practices. And so, what are some of the things that you're carrying with you in this next journey that feel really aligned and resonant for you still?
Art, I mean, expressing myself and believing that my expression is real and valid and good enough. And that all started with gateless writing, that it doesn't have to be in the way that is taught in college or, like professional or whatever that means for whatever medium it is, be it writing or acting or dancing or painting or, whatever. It's just like, no, it's expression. So that's definitely will be with me, I would imagine, for the rest of my life. Movement, of course, so I taught Kundalini yoga for a long time and really tapped into like, oh my gosh, like I can move my body not just for physical benefits, but for energetic and, mental, emotional, spiritual health and connection. And so moving my body is incredibly important to me, not because it makes my body look a certain way, but because of how it makes me feel and the cocktail of like hormones and endorphins that happen, like when I move and being able to energetically and somatically process things without I can get really cerebral and really intellectualize things. And so sometimes like, I just need to shake my hips. I just need to move. I just need to like turn on some reggaeton, some Sean Paul, who by the way was my number one top artist
Oh
and
my
for my Spotify Wrapped, Sean Paul. Yeah, so definitely bringing those things along for the ride. My relationship to sound and music, of course. What's really interesting is when I used to do sound baths, I would always sing with them. And like it was so amazing because I never really considered myself a good singer, but just to like be able to like release my voice and like, oh my God, it's just incredible. But Lyme disease has really done a number on my vocal cords.
Mm.
And now like I can't even sing happy birthday anymore. So it kind of like pulled the ego. I don't know, like there's some kind of lesson there. But yeah, my relationship to sound and how it moves me and how it like, I don't know, I can feel it like a tingle in my cells and my molecules, and I listen with acting. I know music is a gateway into emotional state for me. So if I have to enter a scene angry or guilt ridden or grief or rage or happy or joyful, like I listen to music to like put me into that state. So yeah, my relationship with art, movement, expression, which for me is like, it's so spiritual, you know?
Absolutely. I just think about what Suzanne says about the scribe and how when you let art and expression move through you, it is so much a somatic experience of just being in flow, feeling fully alive. And I think that so many of us have been taught, oh, well, you're not an artist or you're not a singer because you're not going to go be Beyonce. But no, like the magic of your own expression
It's
and
cathartic,
just it's
it's like
absolutely.
orgasmic. It's a similar release, you know?
My daughter yesterday, I picked her up from art class, and she said, "You know, mom, art is like therapy for me."
Mm,
And she's 9, and I was like,
wow.
"Tell me more about that." She's like, "I just feel really connected to myself when I am painting."
Into a
And I
fast
was like,
so early. Yeah.
well, she's like, "Yeah, there's magical beings born all the time,"
Yeah.
and I'm lucky to be the mother to one of them, but I really appreciate how you are tender and clear and honest about your journey and your path. And that authenticity is something that I admire so deeply in you. And as someone who has learned so much from you, it's a delight to walk beside you.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you. And I am feeling called to share this for all the listeners. If you have found someone who is a mentor or who is a facilitator, I think we need to start shifting the way that we see these people. A soccer player is a good soccer player, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good at teaching soccer. Whereas someone who's really good at teaching soccer may not be the world's best soccer player. Okay. So just hold that there. as someone who is good at facilitating, someone who's really good at mentoring, that doesn't mean that they necessarily have to have all of life's problems figured out and that they're the best at living. They are not better than you. They do not have some secret magical formula figured out. They happen to have the skill of facilitation. And not everyone has the skill of facilitation, just like not everyone has the skill of playing soccer. There are people out there who are incredible at creating spaces where you feel seen and heard and celebrated and safe, whether it's in a one on one or in a retreat or in a healing circle or whatever it is. But don't put them on a pedestal and think that they have everything figured out because they have this skill of facilitation. And I think once you're able to see that, just like a soccer player is good at soccer, a facilitator has this beautiful skill of facilitation and a beautiful skill of being able to see you and to like pull your magic out. They have that skill, but that doesn't mean that they're on a higher plane of existence than you. They have a
Right.
skill.
Right.
And I think that's one thing we need to you know, really acknowledge just because someone is living their best life and someone has all these, I don't know, all these muscles and they're perfectly healthy, that doesn't mean that they have the facilities to be your health coach. It just means they're living a healthy lifestyle or to be your money coach. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Totally.
yeah, just because someone has this shiny glamorous dream that you want doesn't mean that they have the skill to walk you through that. They might, but you need to think about that. And I think it's very much a one-on-one thing. They might have the resonance to walk her through it because their souls kind of, you know, work, but for you it might not. So it's just like really important to critically think about who you're calling in as a mentor and to not put them on a pedestal because I guarantee you they do not have their life totally figured out.
Well, no one does, and then
No one does.
that's us forgetting the humanity, that's us
Mhm.
forgetting and comparing and getting into a trap of better than, when it's like, when I'm facilitating, for me, it's like, I am not better than you. I am here
The
because I'm
skill
a
of
conduit,
facilitation.
and I'm here to reflect what I see in you
Mhm.
and hold you through this experience.
Which is
But
a
my
skill.
God, I am not better than you.
Right.
I
Yeah.
am learning
It's
from
an
you
incredible skill set.
just as much, right, and everyone's unique alchemy is so, it's important, it's valuable,
Mhm.
and it's relevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am so glad that we got to have this conversation today.
Me too.
Okay, so one question for you. Tell me what you are doing, which was this whole fucking episode, but poignant answer. What are you doing today to live unapologetically?
Learning to be unimpressive. I don't know.
It's a good one. And it's like, and in that process, not that
I'm
you need,
incredibly impressive.
you're so fucking impressive. I love you. How can people follow along on your journey, Meg?
You can find me on Instagram if I'm there. What's my handle? At Megan Sylvester with an H. My website is megsylvester.com. And right now, that's about it.
Until then, to whatever you've got cooking. And one thing I know to be true about you, that whatever it is, it's going to be thoughtful, it's going to be thought provoking, and dare I say, it's going to be impressive, at least to me, because I love you.
And it's going to happen. If there's one
And
thing
it's
I
going
know
to
about
happen.
myself when I put my mind to something, it happens. So I'm
That
very
that
excited.
generator energy you got
Yeah.
cooking.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I am just beyond floored to have a front seat at Meg's journey and that she came back for a second time. You can catch the first episode with Meg and I in season 1 of Unapologetically Yours. I want to hear from you. So send me a message on Instagram where you can find me at ashleydlogan.com or at Unapologetically Yours podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Ashley. This is Meg, and we are unapologetically yours.